As a boy, I was very impulsive by nature. I was very creative. I had ideas all the time. As a very young child, sort of creating cartoons, drawing on my dad's walls, getting in trouble, and in class being sent out of all most classes unless it was art or English. Those were the two lessons that I loved. So I was always down the art room where I felt at home. I knew what I wanted to be from a very, very young age. I kind of was fixated by Disney movies, and we had shows on British TV like Thunderbirds and Stingray. Those kind of those kind of puppet type shows. They were fascinating to me. So I just wanted to do creative stuff. So I knew I wanted to go to art college from a young age. So as soon as I was 16, I was straight into art college. So I left school early and I did 4 years at art college and came out with a college distinction and got straight into advertising. So that was my early years.
So tell me though about, Keith Chapman's friends. Who were some of the boys or the dudes you hung out with? And do any of
Okay.
them still like contact you today? Are they like,
Yeah,
Keith, hey man, I hit you up for some money?
we still see each other yearly. When I'm back in London, we go out for a big lunch. I've known these guys since I was 5, starting school. So they're all getting old now. I kind of feel when I look at them, I think, well, I'm not doing too bad. I've still got my hair, so I kind of feel pretty grateful. They don't. Do they knock me up for money? No, they don't. They're very good, but I do treat them. I'm pretty generous, so I kind of treat a lot of people, family, friends. I'm always helping people out, which is a nice place to be able to do that.
So how do you find the process though? Because you're at the stage now because of your success that every nonprofit, every individual on the planet probably reaches out to Keith Chapman. You just can't give something to everybody.
No, that's true. We've had to rein it in a little bit because we got a bit carried away helping family, sort of with their sort of, their extensions on the back of houses, or maybe somebody needed a car. And after a while, you kind of have to say, well, I've got to think about myself because I'm sort of going through the money too quick. So I've put a stop a little bit on that. But obviously, if somebody's in big trouble, I'll help them. But I think charities. Yeah, I'm sort of helping out charities on the quiet, children charities, World Vision. Like I just did one, well, with you actually. The sort of helping build the school in Uganda, which was a really nice thing to be able to do with the book that we did for Joe Foster, which was lovely. So I'm sort of, always up for that to help out there if I can. Always thinking, I've been fortunate in life. It's been great. The success has given me this kind of freedom to do what I want on a daily basis. So, but most of the time, I'm actually really busy. I'm working every single day still. I don't actually, there's not a day that I don't work.
So what fills your schedule? You've reached a stage where you could do anything you want to do, but you still choose to work. And is it really work? Do you like doing it? Is it
No, it's not. I don't feel like it is work. It's kind of, it's just in me to come up. I've got all these ideas bubbling away, and I just have to write them down. They start off as literally a paragraph, and the next thing, or a doodle, a little cartoon, and the next thing I've got a complete full Bible. I work on it and work on it and refine it, and then I look around for help. Designers or illustrators or writers to help me get it to that stage that I can pitch it in for my next preschool show. But I'm now branching out into new age groups that I've not done before, which is the 6 to 10 comedy, prime time, like the Family Guy or American Dad. I'm looking at that right now. NFTs, books, teenage books. I've been involved in a trilogy of those, which has been great experience, and also movies. Yeah, moving into movies has been
You're
really exciting.
you're going into film. Now, so the idea for Bob the Builder, where were you sitting when this came to you? Like, when was this moment? Was it in your bed? Were you at the gym?
It was actually in Wimbledon Village. So that was my first property. When I got married in '84, and we moved into this lovely little Edwardian one-bed flat up in the village. And coming out one cold winter's day, I saw a JCB digging up the road. A JCB is like sort of one of those big yellow diggers. And I kind of quickly sketched it on my little sketch pad because I was working in advertising. I had a little pad with me for jotting down ideas. And then I thought, right, if you put some eyes on that and a mouth, that'll be a really interesting character. So I took it to work. And while I was supposed to be working, I was really working on this new idea and creating new digger friends. That expanded into this world. I needed a human character to sort of look after them because they were supposed to be like the naughty kids. And then Bob came along. And then I had children, three boys myself, and that got in the way, obviously, a lot. They're very time consuming, but great fun. I had three wonderful boys, and used to tell them the Bob the Builder stories in bed amongst a host of other ideas. But they always wanted Bob, so I knew there was something in that. And because it was a construction idea, I used to think, well, how come there's not a construction concept out there in the world? It's the biggest industry in the world. You know, we've got Thomas the Tank, and we've got, like, I think Fireman Sam was around, Postman Pat, but nobody had done a builder. So I thought there's got to be something in this. So um, during those years, I went and worked for Jim Henson, the Muppets, in London, and then met a guy. That was my lucky break, really. I met a guy there called Peter Orton, who subsequently broke away from Hit and broke away from Henson and started up Hit Entertainment, which was a very successful children's production company in London. And I was able then to sort of, around about '96, that's 12 years later, I was able to sort of go and pitch these ideas on the table. By that time, I had quite a lot of stuff on Bob the Builder, a lot of designs, and I kind of worked out the world. And of course, you know, he immediately sort of chose Bob as the idea, and they wanted me to sign an option deal literally there and then. So that was my first show that I'd sold, and Hit Entertainment did an amazing job. They
Now, were
got the
you
commission.
happy with the agreement as you look back now as an older guy?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I've still got it. I'm going to frame it actually on my original deal. Was this incredible deal of a 50-50 split on everything, because it was the first concept that they'd taken in from that they owned 100%, because all of their previous TV shows had come from existing popular kids books, so they didn't have all the rights. Then the publishing was with other people, and they'd made TV shows based on sort of restricted rights. Whereas Bob, they had this concept where they could own it 100%, and that they in fact started their own animation studio up on the back of it, and their own in-house licensing department. And when during the early years of early Bob, I think they must have employed a slightly more heavyweight lawyer who'd had experience in entertainment, and looked at my contract and said, "Oh my God, who did this contract? We can't make any profit." So they had to come back to us and renegotiate. Try. So we had to sort of let them have some of that back, because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to make the show. But I've still got that. I've still got that somewhere. So that would have been quite cool to still have that contract running right now. But they don't exist, those contracts anymore.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, Keith. Since I've known you, most people suffer from some sort of self-sabotaging behaviors that blow up their careers, blow up their lives. You have figured out a way to navigate away from that. Was there clues? How did you not blow up your life?
Well, I mean, I think I got all that out of my system when I was young. I mean, I was pretty crazy child. Mum and dad were always working, so we were kind of left to our own devices a lot. And I think I got rid of that, a lot of that, with the wildness, with playing with my friends out in the forests, and getting into mischief and all sorts. And I think that I kind of instinctively knew that, oh my God, I've nearly kind of died a couple of times. I need to calm down a bit. Um, and I thought to myself, right, I've just got to focus and be a bit more sensible. So, and that's what I did literally from when I went to art college. I sort of knuckled down to work, and then when I started in advertising, I started to learn how to um, really focus on creative briefs and try to find out, the USP of a brief, which was a unique selling proposition. Try to find a big idea in something, and that's what I've applied that sort of knowledge and thinking to the shows that I create. And that's been a really good learning curve for me to learn all that. But I kind of knuckled down to that more business kind of minded. And when I went to work for Jim Henson, the Muppets was the biggest show on earth. I think at the time it was on every TV station in the world practically, and it was absolutely flying. And that kind of taught me how to grow and grow a brand, not just a TV show, but how all the spin-offs from the TV show. Where else does it go? Not TV is just one part of it, but there's many other facets to a show to make it successful.
What
So
was
that
he
was good. That
like?
was good
What,
learning.
what was Jim Henson like? I mean, was he like on set, or his benchmark of excellence? Like, tell me the mind. What was he?
Uh,
Who
yeah,
was
well,
he?
he's obviously a visionary, a genius, creative guy. I mean, amazing. He'd moved over to London. He had two big houses on Downshire Hill in Hampstead Village. One was the Creature Workshop, and one was his personal home. And then around the corner, we were there on the TV side, which was all the television side of it, Fraggle Rock, Muppet Babies, Muppets, all the licensing side of it, and the distribution of the TV went on from there. So I was amongst it, and it was brilliant because you could nip next door and see all these incredible, uh, amazingly talented guys making the monsters for the films like The Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, literally right there, in front of me, and going out with those guys. So I met some amazingly talented people, and I'm still friends with them. And yeah, that was an eye opener. I think that was really good for me to have that on my CV as well. That really helped.
And your parents through all this. I mean, now that you're a parent yourself, were they supportive? I mean, your success came in your 40s.
Yes, yeah. Mum and dad were always supportive. They knew what I wanted to do, so they supported me going to art college, coming out of school early. Because most of the people who went to art college started at 18. I was one of the few 16-year-olds. But because they knew that I wasn't going to go to university and sort of go and work for a bank, they were fine about that. So yeah, they were very supportive, and it was nice for me in later life when Bob kicked off and they could see all that success, and I was able to buy them a house, and I supported them all the way through to when they were into their 90s, and they passed away a couple of years ago. But I kind of looked after them their whole lives, really, which was a really nice thing to be able to do.
That sounds like quite the blessing. So, for aspiring creators out there, they what sort of guidance can you give them? They have this idea, Keith, and it's stuck in their head. Maybe their expectation. it might be a little too high. I mean, I'm sure when you thought about the builder was going to be successful, probably didn't think to the level of 10 plus billion dollars and everything else. So how do we really set a realistic expectation?
I think the trick for me, the advice I would give is don't just hang yourself on one idea. You know, be creative, keep coming up with ideas, get one going, try push it out there, see people. But at the same time, while you're waiting all those weeks and months waiting for replies and you don't think it's going anywhere, you know, you get on with the next thing and then the next thing and think about what you're going to do in 5 years' time. Even when you've got a success, I'm always thinking, well, yeah, but it could fall off a cliff at any time. You know, another show will come along. So unless I'm actually doing the next big show, somebody else is going to be doing it. So I want to be in there for that next big hit in 5 years' time. So all my stuff now, I'm pitching knowing that it probably won't become a global brand until at least 5 to 10 years. So I'm sort of always in it in the for the long game, always thinking ahead, trying to think of ideas that are relevant or might be interesting in 5 to 10 years time. Um, you know, one of my ideas, for instance, is got it with a production company in Canada. These great guys at Isle of Misfits. They've got one of my concepts, and it's all based around Mars. Um, and I thought of that some years ago, and I just thought, well, you know, with the Mars mission coming up in the next 20 years, 25 years, that's going to be all over the papers. Everybody's going to be talking about Mars. So there's got to be something. So that seems a good theme for me to think about. So, you know, you can think of things that, like now you've got AI. So, you know, people are trying to come up with AI concepts. Um, think about the future and the way it's going and try and incorporate a little bit of that into your thinking.
So it's before everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Don't copy what's going now. Don't try and do another show that's popular now because that's the wrong way of doing it. Always go the other way. You know, if everybody's doing, say, Marvel superheroes, then do something completely different. Um, always look for an original idea. That's what I've always tried to do.
Upcoming projects, anything right now that you're really excited about?
Yeah, I've got to be honest, on my laptop right now, on my desktop, I've got 30 projects sitting here, ranging from preschool, as I said, you know, different age groups, movies, books, all sorts of stuff. So I'm kind of moving them all forward. In terms of what's the most exciting, well, they're all, to be honest, I think they're all really exciting. So as soon as I get some interest in one of them, I get really excited. So that is the most exciting thing of that day. But I suppose the big ones for me are the launch of my new movie Aussie, which is coming out this year, which is a full length animated feature. OZI, you can Google that. That's an environmental themed family animated movie. It's about a young orangutan who saves her rainforest world from destruction through deforestation. So it's got a really, really strong environmental theme. We've got amazing people on board. We've got Leonardo DiCaprio as one of the producers, Mike Medavoy, the legendary Hollywood producer. We've got A-lister, the voice talent, Laura Dern, um, and Jimon Honsu, um, fantastic actors who've voiced the characters and brought them to life. It's been animated in Paris by Micros Paris, who've done the most incredible job. And it's finished, and we've had the music done. We've got a wonderful theme song written by Diane Warren, one of America's most iconic songwriters, who's had 14 Oscar nominated songs for movies, and never actually won for best song. So she's hoping that this is going to be the one. And that launches around about October this year. So it's been a long time coming. That was a 12-year project to get that going.
12
Uh,
years.
that took me 12 years. Yeah,
12
yeah,
years.
yeah. Yeah, so I put all my own money into it in the early days, had songs written, had a script written, touted it around, went up lots of blind alleys, talking to all sorts of
It sounds like,
investors.
Keith, you go all in, that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you do, that there's this affirmation,
yeah.
I will
There is,
succeed.
yes, yes. I kind of predetermined. If somebody turns it down, I kind of take the view that, okay, well, it's either not for them. They've either got something similar, or they just couldn't raise the money, or whatever. Whoever you're approaching, whether an investor or a production company or a broadcaster, there's a reason why they're not going to take it, and sometimes the timing's not quite right. But I always think of the ideas as kind of valuable commodities, that a great idea never becomes a bad idea. It's always a great idea. So you can put that away, leave that for a while, come back to it in a couple of years, refresh it a bit, look through it again, and then start pitching it again. Because, to be honest, the broadcasters are always changing. Their executives get different teams who've never seen that concept before, and I've done that, before with production companies. They picked it up as a brand new, fresh idea, and now it's going forward, and now it's about to be broadcast. So then must never give up with them. You just sort of move on to the next one, and just give it a bit of a rest and come back to it.
Thank you so much for sharing your story on Free Your Voice.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Is that it?